Hey again, Titans. It's Miss Langridge, and I want to talk you through Lesson 15 of the Ready book. It's all about language and meaning, and then your learning target is to figure out the meanings of figurative language in literary text and how that can help you better understand and enjoy such text. So, what its meaning is, you want to try to figure out what they mean when they're using figurative language. And sometimes that can be difficult because there's so many phrases out there that you may not be familiar with, honestly. And so you kind of have to break it down and use those context clues to help you know what they mean. It also helps to understand what kind of figurative language that you're looking at. I know this is review, but I'd like to talk you through it just one more time. A simile, we've talked about that it uses the like or as, and it's comparing to unlike things. So I would say something like, Mr. Bogazan is as boisterous as a fire truck. Okay, well, Mr. Bogazan doesn't look like a fire truck, but the comparison I'm making is with boisterous meaning extremely loud. I'm comparing Mr. Bogazan to the fire truck with the commonality that they're both very loud. Your next type of figurative language is the metaphor. And it really is the same as a simile. You are making those comparisons, but you're not using like or as. You're just saying that something is that it's become that. It embodies that. So I might say that, let's see.
Miss Skelton, please call me at 3314. Christine Skelton, 3314, please.
Excuse the announcements from Miss Christie. So I might say, just using a metaphor that, let's see, Mr. Starnes is LeBron James on the outside basketball court. I may be lying a little bit, but to say that would be that he is good at basketball. Okay. Personification is one of my favorites, but it's also one of the most difficult to pick out, understand that they're actually using personification. So that's to give things that are not human at all the feeling of being human. And I remember that because of the word person. And that helps me remember that I'm giving human-like characteristics. And to personify something is to give it that human characteristic. To say the pencil flew out of my hand. Did it really fly? No, I'm kind of giving it more of a coming alive type feeling. So writers, they use the figurative language to produce that mood, to make you feel some kind of way. It really is my favorite form of language. I love to play with it, and I like to try to come up with my own. And you guys were pretty good at that when we did our unit. So let's take a look and see what we can do with what we know now. It says, as you read this poem, think about how that figurative language helps you imagine familiar things and events in new ways. Also, think about how the poem might make you feel. All right, so the poem is called The Three Bats. Looking here, it says, the three bats sway like fruit with wings. From the branches of a tall old tree, prisoners of light throughout the day, till nightfall comes to set them free. The sun goes down, the sleepers stir, to a gentle voice of Mother Light. Then the tree lets go its fluttering fruit, a dark whirlwind of sudden flight. So first you could probably think about the mood and how it kind of made you feel. I guess everybody would feel differently here, but I think that the author, how did they want us to feel? A little more toward just using things like night and nightfall, just a little more toward the darker mood, maybe a little, and then with the types of figurative language that they used, let's look at the first one first. Sorry, let me scroll right there. Where it said the tree bats sway like fruit with wings. All right. I don't know what kind of fruit you thought of. Everybody probably thought of a different kind of fruit, like just hanging up in the trees. I thought about pears kind of hanging up in a pear tree, or apples, the way they just kind of swing back and forth. So you imagine that with wings. And just saying that, that the bats are hanging upside down is really the look that the visual they wanted to give you. When they said they're prisoners of light throughout the day, because they can't, they don't go out in the light. So they have to stay hanging in the tree until it's dark because they're nocturnal. They like night. So to say they're prisoners is personifying them. It's making them seem human, like a prisoner that can't leave the jail cell. So, and that's what it says. The light is a jailer, and the bats are the prisoners. And what does it mean? It means that they can't go out during the day. The gentle voice of Mother Night. So that's another personification. It's making nighttime seem like motherly. Because they feel more welcome and at home during the nighttime, like they're gonna, feel more comfortable there, and it feels like home. So you can go back and look at what other types of figurative language that you see within that passage or within that poem, and other examples. So we did it with a smaller poem. Let's try it with a little bit of a larger poem. I really, really love this author, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The piece of the poem that it's going to show us is Rain in Summer. So let's read through this and see what kind of figurative language we kind of notice that pops out and what kind of play on words. And then we'll try to analyze what Henry's actually trying to say. So it says, "How beautiful is the rain after the dust and heat, in the broad and fiery street, in the narrow lane, how beautiful is the rain. How it clatters along the roofs like the tramp of hoofs, how it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. Across the window pane it pours and pours swift and wide, with a muddy tide like a river down the gutters roar, the rain, the welcome rain. The sick man from his chamber looks at the twisted brooks. He can feel the cool breath of each little pool. His fevered brain grows calm again, and he breathes a blessing on the rain." All right, so let's look at what it's asking for. And I would say that after a long drought, you probably would be excited about the rain, but lately with as much rain as we've had, I'm not sure that I share Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's feelings about rain right now. All right, so what I read, how it clatters along the roofs like the tramp of hoofs. So you can imagine the hoofs of like a horse just hoofing along, and it's saying that the rain is making that same noise, and that's why it is a simile. And what does it mean? Just that it's making that louder kind of noise. Let's see if we can find another type of figurative language throughout here. We did that. Okay. It pours and pours, and swift and wide, with a muddy tide, like a river down the gutters roar. So you can imagine that's another simile, that the way that the rain is pouring is like the river, just flowing and flowing and flowing. Let's see what else we have. So it says that he can feel the cool breath of each little pool. What do you think that is? Saying that he can feel the cool breath of each little pool. Do you think that would be a simile comparing? Would it be a metaphor that says he is that little pool, or are we trying to personify the rain? All right. So if you said personification, you would be correct because, I mean, in reality, if you're saying literally, rain can't breathe. But here it's saying that he can feel the breath of it. It's just making it seem almost more human. Okay? So just looking at that, it says, suppose you want to draw a picture to show the motion and energy of the rain. What might you draw there if you were going to do that? I would recommend pausing this and kind of sketching that out. And you could sketch it out on notebook paper, or you could sketch it out on Google Draw. Just what you would kind of draw as you were visualizing the rain. So I just kind of Googled it to see what images popped up. And the tin roof thing, I mean, I was visualizing more kind of this situation with the man inside, but also I guess this would be his perspective from inside. But definitely the rain, just as I visualize the rain, it's just kind of drop, 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 and you can hear it hoofing. I mean, hoofing's not a light little trickle. It's like boom, 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 boom. And so that makes me think of more just the pouring. Like, that's why I kind of resonate more with this image. So I'm not sure how you feel about it. You can definitely research and look up his poem and the rest of it. And then there he is. Into each life some rain must fall. That's a really good quote. Something to kind of mean that not every day is going to be absolutely perfect. So, all right, back to our passage. So, after the images, let's look at the short response. It says, to explain how the figurative language shows the change in the rain over time, and use some examples. So I would restate the question. I would say the figurative language in, and I would use the title of From Rain in Summer, shows how the rain changed over time by, and then I might list that in the beginning it was talking more about that it was right after the dust and heat that it's just started to rain in the narrow lane. So it's just starting, and it's so beautiful. And then as the rain continues, then it's coming down more like hoofs, and then it's flowing like a river, like whoosh through. And then that it was welcomed by the sick man. Like, he was looking forward to seeing that rain, and it made him feel, even though he was sick and not feeling well, it made him happy to see that rain. So I would definitely go through that page and use specific examples of the figurative language to help me prove my point of what I was trying to say. So your lesson that you're going to do on your own is that you can either choose to do wildlife worries, and that's an on grade level passage. You would do that, and you would answer those questions, including the short response, and compare it here. No, you wouldn't do this page, sorry. Then you would go down, you would do the wildlife worries, or you can do From David and the Phoenix, and this is above grade level. So you have some bigger vocabulary words like infinitely, progress, and confusion, and it's a bit longer, so it's a more challenging passage should you choose to take that challenge. I really think you should do what you feel will help you thrive and not just survive as a reader. I hope you enjoy the lesson, and I hope you're enjoying figurative language as much as I am. If you have extra time, look up some songs and videos that contain figurative language and just enjoy kind of playing around with figurative language, writing your own. And also, I hope that you have a fantastic day, whatever day that you're looking at this lesson. I miss you very much. I can tell you that. My classroom looks awfully lonely without you. And I'll see you soon. Remember to use your head, heart, and hands.